Hello, good evening. Hello. I love seeing all the beautiful faces here. Can everyone hear me? We can't see you. Did I wear my invisible cloak again? Did it? Okay. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. Is this there? Welcome to the Black Donor Network, the ACLU New Mexico's Black Donor Network. Our celebration of Black Philanthropy Month starts now. We will start by rising and playing the Black National Anthem to get everything started, and then we'll start our program. So if everyone can rise with us. Thank you. So we launched the Black Donor Network, ACLU of New Mexico, in May. So this is our first official event, and we are holding this time, and we're coming in the community to celebrate August, which is Black Philanthropy Month. So that's why we're here tonight. We're gonna have some networking. We have our amazing panelists and moderators here. We're gonna have a great discussion about philanthropy and what it is and how it impacts all of us and how we can do our part. So just to let everyone know, kind of, we have an advisory committee for the Black Donor Network, and almost everyone that's on the couch is a part of the advisory committee. And first and foremost, I just want to thank you all for being here and for pouring in so much work into making this event happen and thinking about all the tough questions we wanted to ask and cover and just all the background things. So first off, I want to say thank you. Before we get into the panel discussion, I want to share, many of you probably grabbed one of these to know what our mission is, our vision, and how we came together. So I just want to let everyone know and recap that really our mission is to cultivate a vibrant and inclusive network of Black donors in New Mexico, empowering them to support civil rights and social justice initiatives. Through collective philanthropy, we aim to advance the mission of the ACLU New Mexico and allied organizations, ensuring the Black community's voices are represented and contributions to philanthropy are acknowledged and celebrated. And our vision is to have a thriving community where Black donors are pivotal in advancing racial justice, supporting local organizations, and fostering a culture of philanthropy that reflects the diversity and strength of New Mexico's Black community. We envision a future where Black philanthropy drives systemic change and builds lasting connections within and beyond our community. So as we begin, we were inspired by the ACLU of Louisiana, actually. They were the first affiliate of the ACLU to start a Black Donor Network. And the support and everyone showing up has just been amazing here in New Mexico. We have a story to tell, we have history to celebrate. And so we're starting that now, and I just want to start by welcoming our moderator, Chris Silver, right here. In no special order, our panelists, we have Nihima Pickett, Mary McElrath, Robert Washington Bond, Chantel Rumor, and Nasika Ugo. So I will pass the mic on and we'll get started with our panel discussion. After we will have remarks from our national partner, Thai Fam. So Bernard will have a question and answer, and then we'll have a raffle. We have some amazing prizes I can't wait to get into that have been donated by the local Black community.
everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you for coming out. We're going to start with our first question. We're going to do a popcorn round robin, so to speak, for personal motivation. The questions to our panelists are, what motivated you to become involved in philanthropy, particularly within the Black community? And this question is open for any of our panelists.
Since I have the mic up, I'll go first. Personally, I was born and raised in Nigeria. I've always seen how the lack of resources from where I'm from actually hindered a lot of progress. And when I moved over to the States about 15 years ago, I noticed that it's pretty much a very similar situation in our country here. And being positioned, having been in a position to be able to see how things that we came to the States pursuing the American dream and coming to the States and seeing the same kind of struggles that are going on was my first exposure to that. So when I was old enough to do something about it, I was blessed to be able to get into my first political campaign in 2018, right when it was right, and that's when I realized how much philanthropic efforts can really affect communities, or just community organizing can really help push up a lot of the issues that we do face that nobody really understands except they're living in our community. So that's one of the main reasons why I chose to go on this path that it's been an amazing journey now for the last 8 years. And it's a very fulfilling one, and your impact goes a long way.
Thank you, Ms. Sika.
Thank you.
One of the reasons that I began my philanthropic journey is watching my mom. I grew up in church, and my mom was heavily in church. She led different ministries in church, and we did a lot of things in the community where we gave out food, we clothing drives and things of that nature. So at an early age, I learned the importance of appreciating people that may be less fortunate than I am or we were. Also, my nieces and nephews here, I want to set the stage for them so they know the importance of giving back to their community, not always money, with their time and their talent. So I'm a role model of leaders in the community. And lastly, the mission is not complete. The same mission that we've been fighting for since 1619, we're still fighting for the same mission, and I want to be part of the change.
Thank you, Mary.
I guess I'll speak to. I also have a similar upbringing, being in the church. Grew up on the south side of Chicago, Santa Monica. Very progressive pastor named Michael Flager. Brings in sex workers to pay for their time to come to church, protesting outside of liquor stores that are serving to underage kids. And even if it's a moment asked me to be here and be part of this panel, it was like, well, you ever think about philanthropy? It's like doing the fish fry or the car wash and the candy lady in your community, and it kind of opened my eyes to that. All the people that have helped me when I needed a couch to sleep on for a couple of months, I needed a ride downtown to go to the library, or to get to work, or getting train fare money for a couple of weeks straight. Those are all philanthropy acts, and it kind of led to where I am today, like giving, just having a community of people always supporting me and believing in my success. It always not being monetary, but again, a couch, a car ride, or just something to talk to.
Thanks, Robert.
Greetings, and I'll say in Zulu it would be Salabona, and the village would respond Yebo Salabona. Salabona is the deep looking into the heart, the soul, the spirit of other human beings. And so we'll practice that together. I'll say Salabona, and the village will respond Yebo Salabona. Yebo Salabona. Yebo Salabona. And in our culture, I would need to ask for permission first to speak from my elder. And I just so happen to have my queen mother in the room, and so I will ask for Miss Brenda's permission to continue to speak with you this evening. Thank you. I was born and raised in the rolling hills of Altadena, California, on a 24-acre ranch. And people always say, well, if you were in California, it must have been urban, and you were down on the block with all the kids. And I'm like, no, because we are pickets. And pickets have a historical background with rodeo. Has anyone ever heard of the Bill Pickett Rodeo? Show of hands. It used to come to New Mexico once upon a midnight rodeo on the way to Colorado, and is the only Black traveling rodeo in the nation, and is where at 4, I pranced out about that tall. I'm not much taller now, showing a Clydesdale in the county fair. And growing up on this 24-acre working ranch, what I saw was collaboration from all communities, from the indigenous community, from our Asian community, from our Latin community, from our African and Pan-African community, and the strength of united cultures moving in a vibration that was healing. And so philanthropy wasn't necessarily a word that was seared in my head as a youth, but what I saw was the collaboration and cooperation of my community that moved together on the front lines of many things, from food sovereignty to land rights to making sure that we fought for our youth and for the children, and watching my elders create programmings that would support young people with many things, from education to re-entry from the incarceration system. And that really at a young age inspired me to take the steps to say, I want to be a part of that. So we'll just kind of fast forward and say that in my role with the City of Albuquerque, I lead the Office of Black Community Engagement. I've been a 25-year business owner with my wellness retreat called Camaria Creations. And additionally, at this point, I sit on the Empower Fund, which you received the handout on your table, which is a philanthropic organization. So I know we'll get into that a little bit more, and I thank you for this time to speak.
Thank you, Nikki.
Hello, my name is Chantal Mure. I was born in Congo but raised in Rwanda. For the philanthropy world, I would say I saw that with my parents when I was born in a Black community village, where my parents always want to preserve their culture, land, and food, and always they share with the neighbors, friends, church. Those push me to do the same and continue to do the same work, even though I live in this country. That pushed me to start the non-profit organization called Water ACLU. Mission is to empower refugees and immigrant women in education. And also, I'm an educator at CNN. I teach a couple of the classes in computer science. So that's my work. I'm happy to be the part of the committee to support our community. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Chantal. Let's switch up a little bit with our panelists. Nasika, we're going to talk about challenges and opportunities, barriers. What are some of the main challenges faced by Black philanthropists today, and how can they be overcome?
Thank you very much. To answer that question, the first thing that comes to my mind is the wealth gap. If you think about the increasing recurring wealth gap, which just means that less Black individuals are able to make one large contribution in terms of philanthropic efforts. And then secondly, even if they're able to make those kinds of donations, it's very rare to see those kinds of donations being recognized in the media. So a lot of Black philanthropists don't get that recognition in media to help other younger folks coming up to be able to understand that they are able to contribute to the African community as well, thereby missing some potential networking and also collaboration opportunities. The other thing that comes to mind is the lack of trust and also credibility. There are still some major organizations and foundations that have a challenge trusting Black-led initiatives or organizations. So just being more open in that sense. And lastly, putting people in a position, people that look like us in those making positions that when those decisions are being made, there's actually somebody that is in that community that is directly impacted, that can have their voice heard as well. And in terms of the and how to also overcome some of those challenges, you can think about just being training, investing in more well-building initiatives in our communities, thereby when we grow up and are able to afford some of these things, we're able to provide as well. Encouraging most of the major foundations and organizations to partner with Black-led organizations, and also just supporting more as a community, coming together and having more trust in ourselves and what we're able to accomplish as well.
Thank you. I noticed you mentioned youth in your answer to that question, so let's dovetail to this one. What opportunities exist for the Black community to increase its impact through philanthropy?
Thank you. There are some options here, right? When you think about how we're moving towards the technology-wise, so implementing a lot more crowdfunding platforms that allows, that would potentially increase a lot more micro donations and in turn engage the younger audience. And we can see most of the initiatives that we're going towards, how do we bring our next generation along? And most of these initiatives are happening on social media and things like that. As well as collective giving. When you think about collective giving, yes, one person might not be able to pull in and make a huge donation. But if you're tapping into the pool of like giving circles or other community-led organizations, the impact of that one donation coming from that foundation would potentially go a long way than just one person doing that less in that sense.
Perfect. I noticed you touched on engagement, and I wanted to ask you what strategies have you found effective in engaging the Black community in philanthropic efforts?
Training and empowerment. That is the one thing I can also bring up in that. If we're not aware of how much our philanthropic effort actually goes in creating impact with those organizations, sometimes it's challenging for us to understand what we're really doing, right? It's not necessarily just the financial contribution, it can be your time, it can be just your effort in showing up and supporting different events, or just taking the time to understand what those issues are that we're facing in our community.
Thank you. How can philanthropic organizations build trust within the Black community to foster greater participation and support?
Transparency. And what I mean by transparency is understanding how those decisions are being made at the leadership level and understanding how the funds are being allocated throughout the whole organization. We also appreciate long-term partnerships, and that shows your commitment in the community, as well as respectful partnerships. So instead of just seeing the community as beneficiaries, understanding that these are also your partners in whatever issue that you're actively pushing, definitely helps build that trust as well. Training in terms of inclusivity, so having culturally aware people in positions within this organization helps just build a lot more trust within our community as well.
Awesome, thank you very much, Lucy.
Thank you.
Moving along, Mary, how has Black philanthropy evolved over the years, and what historical factors have influenced its development?
Thank you. Well, the major historical factor that's been a game changer, I believe, for Black people is access. Access to technology, to resources, being able to collaborate with others has really been a game changer. But as for many of you know, Black people have been doing philanthropic duties for centuries. That's how we were able to build banks and schools and create businesses and other organizations. I believe that Black people came together in the 1690s and said, what do we like to achieve? And why are we here? You know, they really wanted to change the way they were living, to change the way that they were seeing, change their lifestyle as far as business and things of that nature. When you look back in 1889, Madison J. Walker, who was a seamstress or a washerwoman, she was able to provide us with the understanding and the leadership of the importance of education as well as social service and entrepreneurship. She understood that the value of having your own business was really a game changer in life. And so that's something that she stood for and advocated for. But did you know the church helped her with those outreaches into the community? The women of the church really instilled in her the importance of good education, having those social services as well as entrepreneurship. And then we moved with Ida B. Wells in 1847. She was an abolitionist. She didn't bite her tongue and let people know what the lynchings were happening in different areas. That was very important. And then we moved into the Black Mutual Aid in 1861. All these are ways that if you hear, I'm not talking about only money, but their time and their talent that they were able to give to see a change, a gradual change which we're still fighting for. Also moving on in New Orleans, had Tommy LeBron and James Fortune, who used their newspaper to change, to disseminate what was going on in different parts of the United States, primarily down south, in the South. In 1971, the Association of Black Foundation Executives, the ABFE, in 1971, actually provided a platform for Black philanthropy. So when you hear philanthropy, you don't have to always think about the rich white man or the rich white woman giving to organizations. You don't have to be seen as an add-on or always a receiver of the gifts. We are also the donors, not the receiver. So it is important that we understand the historical events that has led up to today, and even today, our past president, Barack Obama, led the biggest philanthropic, I feel, act of it all. He wanted people to feel inclusive with his campaign. He said, well, how can I get everyone involved, no matter what their social economic status is? And so we came up with saying, just donate $3 and you'll be entered into a drawing to have dinner with me. Well, for the average person who's probably thinking, in poverty, $3, oh yeah, I can do that. So they, Black people donated, and President Obama was able to raise over $147 million through that initiative of inclusivity. Also, as we look at our Vice President, Kamala Harris, she's taking on the same initiative, saying, donate $10. If you can't, get out and knock on doors with me, your dollars, it doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to give the millions of dollars that we, hear people say or used to hearing. It's whatever you can do. And wrapping up, I just want you to know that community giving, also, let me back up, Black people has always been known to, give small donations in frequency. And you saw that, like I said, with President Obama's campaign, but we want to move through that. And so we'll talk about that later. But also, when you talk about historical giving and how it is today, with the access and how we're able to contribute more of our time, more of our dollars, we can see a change coming. And when you do community giving, as Ms. Nika hit on earlier, just know that there's an equal sacrifice, but different amount. I'm gonna say it again, when you community giving, the sacrifice is the same, because it's the same cause, it's the why, it's the how, but the amounts may be different. And so that's how historically, donors have shaped evolved over the years.
Thank you, Mary, I appreciate that answer. I noticed in your answer, you were talking about game changers, and you mentioned several of them. So that leads me to emerging leaders. How can we identify and support emerging leaders within the Black philanthropic community?
Having events like this will give our grassroots leaders a stage to come and share what's happening in your community. And as a result, we will hopefully be able to collaborate and find resources to help fund different things. Also, we need to recognize our leaders, our nonprofits, our small businesses, and what they're doing in their initiatives. So I believe that we recognize our young leaders because we know that they're giving. If you look at maybe crowdfunding, social media, we just had a young man that was serving food. He was recording, just think, he's recording what's going on, obtaining information, sharing it with his friends, his peers, and his age group. That's something that we need to take into consideration when we're having events. Bring a friend, bring your grandchildren, bring your nieces, someone that is young to you so they can understand what it means, what philanthropy means, and how they can get involved.
It sounds like leading into our final question, you started to answer it, but what are your aspirations for the future of Black philanthropy?
My aspirations is that we begin to recognize people in the community. I'm a member of Theta Phi Beta Incorporated, and one of the reasons why I joined that organization is for sisterhood. That we acknowledge our women in the community during the month of January and February. We acknowledge women that are aligned with our four goals: is service, sisterhood, friend-womanhood, and scholarship. And by being in the education field, I can see where our young people need guidance. Need guidance in every category there could be, but for this area, giving of themselves and donation is intrinsic. And the root word for philanthropy is love of humankind. So I think it's important for us to always share the meaning of love of humankind to be able to be part of the change of the mission that is still ongoing.
Thank you very much, Mary. I appreciate those answers. Moving along, we'll move it to you, Chantel. And my question for you is, how can philanthropy be used to preserve and celebrate cultural heritage and the history of Black communities?
Philanthropy is a huge thing that can help to preserve the unsavory culture heritage in the Black community. For example, like sponsoring museum, culture center, community centers, sponsoring Black restaurant that will give the Black food or African American food. They can also sponsor music, parade, festival in the community. All these sponsoring all these will help to preserve our heritage and culture. I have as an example, last month I was privileged to visit the state of Louisiana in New Orleans. I was able to visit the same school where Ruby Bridges attended. That gave me to learn the history at the first time. preserving the site and introduce people like me to go and learn the culture, the history of the Black community. Sponsoring all this site will help to preserve the site so the young generations or people like me who are new in the country to learn this culture.
Thank you, I appreciate that. You did mention that you're an educator. I do want to say, what role do educational initiatives play in promoting cultural awareness, preservation, and philanthropic efforts?
The education can play a huge role, for example, by developing curriculum, training teachers, giving scholarship to young generation to learn the Black history, slavery, civil rights. All these can help our kids to learn, or the young generation to learn our culture. Example, my son went to summer camp this summer. The summer camp for STEM introduced Black kids to STEM. And the summer camp was sponsored by philanthropists from Sandia Lab. The kids to be introduced to this summer camp is empowering them to see people like them doing coding, math, physics, chemistry. Those are huge things education can play a huge role to empower our young generation to move and learn our culture.
You mentioned a partnership with Sandia Lab and your son. How can Black philanthropists effectively partner with other organizations to address systemic challenges?
This question is a person to me because I own non-profit organization. I partner with many organizations to address the systematic challenges. One or many of the organizations I partner, I will only recite two. The issue that were raised among the community was health. I find around what organization we can partner to address these issues. As my community is under resources community, and the healthcare was one of the issues that gave healthcare resources. I was able to partner with the Black Health New Mexico, where they will send the nurses to come and educate women on their health. Not only the education, but the nurse look like they come and teach. You can see the tracks, how the women attend and learn from them. The nurses know their body, they know their diet, they know how you can treat the Black women in this country. Those were a huge partnership and success. I did partnership with the Black House New Mexico. Other partnership I have is with the Utopia Dental Clinic. My community, as I said again, is an underserved community, which they don't have transportation, they don't have medical insurance. The Utopia Dental raise the funds to take care of the women that don't have insurance. They will bring them, pay the transportation, Uber or other transportation, come and take the women, and also they will support to pay some of the bills that women will spend to do the clinic. So partnership is a huge role to address this systematic challenge.
Thank you, Chantal. I appreciate your answers. Moving along, we'll go to Danila. We'll talk about support systems.
We're going to talk about support systems. Yay! Woo! Okay.
What support systems or resources are essential for nurturing Black philanthropists?
The last part of that question was?
Philanthropists.
Okay. So we're going to go old school a little bit. How many of you have children in the room? If I could get a shout out, show of hands. All right. If those are adulting children, can you leave your hand up in the air? All right, and if those are little tiny people, can you stand? Okay, so we've got a mobilized group of people, it looks like, that are not represented here because I didn't see your person, your stewardship that you've sown into the world and raised to adulthood, sitting next to you in this chair. So I would ask the question, where are they tonight? You can shout it out. Huh? With their mom? With your mom. Okay, so they're in for the evening. What will they be doing with your mom?
She always has, she spoils them.
She spoils them, all right.
Probably take them to McDonald's.
Take them to McDonald's, all right. Support the corporation, maybe play some video games, watch TV, all of these things that we have allowed or permitted for our next generation to where's the value in saying, you know what? Not tonight, because guess what you're about to do? You're going to be up in this chair at this meeting, leading all of these conversations at these tables with talking points. And so when we're talking about support, it starts where? In the home, and not to call you out. Grandma time is free. I just love that kind of language.
McDonald's is equal, you're right.
Right. This is Black Philanthropy Month. This is Black Business Month. This is about circulating and endowing our people and our families. And so when I think about what do we need to support, the first thing is that we have to think about what happens in the household. That means that I've got to see this brother here. What is your name? Ron. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. And I'm really glad that you chose to join us tonight because you could have been anywhere. Some of my colleagues are down in the state of the city this mayor, and I designated someone else to speak on my behalf because it was more valuable for me to meet. Let's see, what's your name here? And why are you here tonight?
I'm on board with Sam.
That's the only reason you're here tonight.
No, I'm here to support Black Philanthropy.
Right, so I might look a little like that, being that I've been in business for 26 years almost now in Mexico. But building the foundation of our family and what that looks like to have intergenerational conversations, what it looks like for your child to be able to be with grandma, what it looks like to have relationships that are healthy and strong and thriving in the household means that when we step outside of the household, we can say, wow, that which I generated as resources, I can endow there. Now, whether that's Sunday morning in the offering plate, because that has historically been a part of how we give in our community, or whether that's saying I'm going to be down here at the Council of Negro Women, or I'm going to get involved with saying, how do I show up and support Black farmers in New Mexico? And I'm going to sit and plant and get out there and do those seeds. We have to have healthy home environments to be able to say we can take the next step outside of the home to support what's needed. So when we talked a little bit about healthcare, that stems into what's happening with maternal health. Why is it that Black women are in crisis in terms of our maternal health outcomes and how do we shift that? So these are the foundations of where we say, how is it that we're going to make a community that's thriving so that we can begin to offer support? I'd love to hear the next question.
I did the next question.
I'm listening.
This is probably right. What role does mentorship play in developing the next generation of Black philanthropists?
Mentorship. Young Fifth, you know who I'm looking at. Stand up. Here we go. Let's give an example. Come and stand next to me. All right. So mentorship looks like this. Where's the first place you've ever seen? Here? Yes. All right. And what did I just do when we talked about mentorship? Right, because is it more important that you hear from me, or is it more important that you see that I'm passing the baton to the next generation to ask this question? What is important about mentorship for you?
See people who look like me, who don't sound like
Okay, now, I'd like you to come up a little bit closer. I want you to say it out with every confidence that you have in you. I want you to say it with grandma's breath and aunties and uncles and ancestors. And for every little black girl who isn't in this room tonight, and for every little black girl who walks into a classroom in the state of New Mexico and is told that she's not smart enough, that she can't do it, that maybe she should sit in the back of the classroom instead of the front, that when she walks into the cafeteria and all of the other girls have friends, that she's the one sitting in the back of the auditorium with the book and thinking about maybe, perhaps, one day I'll go someplace that this book says I can be. Now I want you to tell them with every confidence why is it important that you see a woman like me handing you the microphone to have a conversation with all of them about what you need for mentorship. Sorry.
Seeing who feel like they're not doing the job that I can see myself doing is powerful because I can envision myself in their shoes and it helps me see the future. It's just like a point of reference and I know that I have to be the right way.
So this is what we are going to do in the village, lead by example. Because what I'm going to say to you tonight is the most important thing that I'll probably leave you with. For every chair in every space that we occupy, I'm not privileged to be able to catch a flight, to drive a car, to have the mental capacity to walk through a door, to feel welcome, to pull up, to take a plate, to sit down and eat, to breathe fresh air, to vibrate the frequency of another person, human being's elemental occupation, means that someone sacrificed for it. And that really, the seat that sits unoccupied here tonight, that's the space that I say 1,000 ancestors must occupy. And for every time that we say I'll attend a banquet, or I'm going to be a sponsor, and I've sponsored $10,000 tables here, and $20,000 for an organization there, and $50,000 for a nonprofit there, is it starting to sound more like an auction? Does it sound a little bit more like a block? Because I know that my people were stood on auction blocks. And I know that anything that we've already done historically, our blood, our sweat, our tears, the country that we built, the backs that you all stand upon, are the philanthropic contributions that we have sown into this country. And so therefore, what I will always stand on and what I will always say is the greatest voice in the room is the one that is absent and not present. And that I am still making way for to feel, no matter the clothing they wear, the educational background that they've had, the experience they may have come from, the trauma they walked with, the grief, the last shock they witnessed, the last burial they attended, that I'm making more space for that black and brown person to sit in these chairs, in this room. And so when there's an invitation given to say, hey, where do we show up? Where do we congregate? Who is here? Then we have to be about the business of saying, who do we bring along with us in this journey? Who do we make space for? Because ultimately, the offering plate will be passed. And certainly, when I go into work with nonprofits and business development, and I've done that for decades, I always say every conversation is a money conversation. Can you repeat that? Every conversation is a money conversation. So when folks come in and they say, I have this great idea, I want to start a business, I want to get my brand going, and I say, okay, where are your books, where are the finances? I want you to know everything that you need to know before you get in the room and ask for the venture capitalist, before you ask the charitable donation, because you've got to be ready and you've got to be prepared. And that's our responsibilities. So when the charitable organization, the philanthropic giving happens, that we understand these things about, hey, it's not just I got the grant, I landed the funding, but I have to retain it. I have to manage it. I have to know about how donations are matched, because ultimately, that is the piece. How do we keep this sustainable and continue? I think I have one more question, and then I get to pass the mic and sit my little self right down on the couch. Woo-hoo!
I don't work for the city of Albuquerque. We do policy, so we can't
Oh, man, and I was trying to sit down and act like I was gonna catch a breather. Yes, policy.
What ways can philanthropy be used as a tool for advocating policy changes that benefit the Black community?
Woo, that's a very good one. So, one of the awards that we just received in my office at the Office of Black Community Engagement was actually bringing together key players from 26 departments within the city of Albuquerque. It's never happened before, but we challenged the system, which was approaching I'm trying to get the name right, the Policy Institute for Black Futures, which is a national organization, and they literally select teams around the country, 7 teams a year. And so this year, we yet again, as New Mexicans, were not at all on the list of consideration. So I said, we're gonna go ahead and do this application. We're gonna submit every document that's asked for, we're gonna exceed it, and we're going to get on their radar. And so about 3 weeks ago, they called my team and said, oh my God, we didn't even know you existed there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Is it part of Mexico? I said, oh no, we are thriving, we are well, we are not the past, we are the now and moving into the future. After 3 interviews and several department meetings and all of those things, we were awarded for the first time in history to be a part of this National Institute to Move Black Policy Forward. And so, between the Innovation Department, our Open Spaces Department, our Office of Equity and Inclusion and Black Community Engagement, along with Culture Change, we'll be working on 2 very significant policies. The first being that we in New Mexico are one of 3 states that has not dealt with a very archaic law around cosmetology. And for anyone who wears this hair, their natural hair, braids, twists, locks, sis, and brother, this is really significant because yes, we did the Crown Act, however, we did not deal with the economy, which basically in the law right now states that if you would like to twist, braid, curl, twirl, anyone with natural hair, then you must go for 2 years of miseducation because in cosmetology and barber school, they are not going to teach you about working with kinky, curly, crazy, wild, magnificent hair. It's just literally teaching you how to deal with straight hair types. And so therefore, we want to make sure that anyone who needs to earn a living with something that is endowed from aunties and grandmas and sitting at the table, braiding and twisting and locking hair, will be able to create an income for their families and not be punished, fined, and imprisoned because they're doing a traditional natural hairstyle. And so we want to make sure that that legislation is changed. And the next is working on the George Floyd Act, which, as you know, I just a moment to acknowledge Sonia Massey, who lost her life to law enforcement, to a gunshot in the head. And that we've got to see these laws change, and so we'll be working on that policy as well. And so it is invaluable that as we organize, and why it's so important for our nonprofits, philanthropy to be in the same rooms, is really looking at the inequities and how it is that we bring people and engage them together to move and push forward, because we do not do it in silos or independently. It takes everyone to show up and say, we're going to take some piece of this and push forward in policy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikki. Moving along to our last panelist, Robert, you're up.
Oh, goodness.
Hey, Robert, my friend. I adore Robert.
I don't know if I can follow him, but we'll try.
I'm going to stand up afterwards. So.
Unique contributions. What unique contributions have Black philanthropists made to their communities that are often overlooked or underrepresented?
This is a great question. And I guess I'll put this in the frame of, I recently started a auxiliary organization called Black Bridge in Mexico. I think the biggest hindrance into that question is that in New Mexico, a lot of Black organizations, people that are doing change and good in New Mexico, especially Black people, there's not enough awareness. I've lived here roughly 2 years, and when I got off that airplane, I saw mountains, but I didn't see Black people. You know what I mean? So as I've researched, as I've grown and worked, and tired and Google searched my way through Black events and Black people that are working and living here, I actually came up with a list, and I communicated and worked with a lot of these organizations and hope to work with them in the future. So if you think about the Batman Superman paradigm, there's Gotham City and there's Metropolis, right? I would say if you know Rashawn Morris is definitely Batman, and if you know Mike Silva, he's definitely Superman. And so those are the first two people that I would say do a lot of community work that often goes unseen, or they work behind the scenes, and you don't really see. You see maybe the blessings, but you don't see the work that went behind it. Another, of course, NEMA Institute, the Empower Fund, which just recently was erected earlier this year. I was there at the student event with Oakley, which is amazing. And I think half the people didn't know to stand for the Black national anthem. It was just like it was just a funny thing to experience in New Mexico. There's also a woman named Sandra. She works in the Santa Fe Community Foundation, a Black woman. And I think it's also important that, as I mentioned, some of these names are not full-blown organizations. They're also people that can speak for us in spaces that we maybe don't have access to. And so, even at Oakley, I was able to give Dr. Oakley and her granddaughter flowers because of Sandra reaching out to me, which again was by Rashawn. Hey, this is Dope Black Man, give another Black man flowers. Like, what's up? Can we give Oakley flowers? She comes to Santa Fe. So flowers were available not only in the room, but on her green room as well. So I was very appreciative of that. There's a group that many people might be aware of. It's called the Black Diamonds. It's like a soccer league. There's like a Black soccer culture we get together, like Black people in soccer, things that you don't think necessarily go together, but definitely, especially in New Mexico, right? Let me see. Oh, I also just did an event with there's a woman named Bianca. She works with the Department of Education. So they did a back to school events. Yeah, the Black Education Act. So yeah, amazing work. We were able to give out backpacks. I mean, they can rent out backpacks. So it's like more Black people in backpacks. Like, it was a huge line of people, and just mind blowing. Again, like she's up in town, she's from Chicago. It's like, dang, like I didn't again, like if you don't know, no one tells you. You hear through the grapevine, hey, there's this person doing this over here. One that I actually just found out about today, and I was aware but not aware. It's called Our Earth. It's run by Tim Howie and another woman named Diana. It is their birthing duels essentially, and it was part of those duelists, mostly online, but like teaching women and men about taking care of their bodies and their children during the childbirth process and afterwards even. So I'm excited to hear more about them and when they come to. I'm sorry everyone on this list, I did some research. Also there's Chauncey, he's the head of We Grow Eco, it's based out of Santa Fe. It's an organization that's focused on agricultural resources as far as like recycling. So as we know, like there's a lot of fast fashion, H&M, Forever 21, things of that nature. A lot of those clothes end up in landfills. Something that I've seen them do personally is that they'll take old clothes and turn them into notebooks. We'll have clothing drives. There's a place called Community Resources where there's a plot of land specifically only for Black people to touch and use and grow and eat of that food. And I've been in that community, and where I met Miss Brenda, and I ate a salad from land grown by Black people in Santa Fe, which is like, and it was like a drumming circle. It was just amazing. And so those are just a few of the places and people that I've seen and met in my 2 years here, and I'm sure there's many more that we haven't heard of. So.
Thank you, Robert. Mike Silva's Superman. That's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Superman with cookies.
Scared where your coach was Ashley and haven't met him yet.
Oh no, I haven't.
Okay, all right.
You will.
You will. Moving on. How can we empower more Black individuals and families to become active philanthropists?
Well, I think the very first thing is to know that most people in general are philanthropists, whether how much you took extra when you go out to eat, whether again, like you get in that car ride, you're instilling values to your children, you're helping other people, you're staying after school, you're volunteering, you're chaperoning, things of that nature. I think the most important thing that I learned through my nonprofit, Black Philanthropy Project, was to not try to heal through your organization or the work that you're trying to do in the community. My claim to the reason I believe that I'm sitting here today, I started an organization called Black Philanthropy Project. Through the video flowers about Black men who seen, heard, acknowledged, and I spent 3 months in intensive therapy for suicidal ideation and depression because I was chasing this capitalist dream of success, and it almost killed me. I had the nice car, I had the good TV, I had the nice couch, I had the nice apartment, I had the beautiful girlfriend, I was going out to eat every weekend, traveling every 2 weekends, and it was so much maintenance. I was like, what people tell Black men about just being successful, that you'll be happy later, just go be successful, and you'll be happy, the happiness will come after it. And so, in starting my nonprofit, it was how do I pass this along? How do I pass on 3 months of those good benefits? I had that good job. How do I pass it along in a small, but meaningful, impactful way? It was giving other Black men flowers. And so what I realized was that although my journey had been through mental health, that's not every Black man's journey, and that there was still unhealed trauma that I had to experience and go through, and kind of separate out from my nonprofit to understand that what the work that I'm doing is impacting people in different ways that I am maybe not aware of or blind to, and I need to continue to do my own work of healing while still uplifting other Black men in other areas of their lives outside of just mental health. Maybe it's food equity, maybe it's housing, maybe it's job opportunity, things of that nature. So just trying to expand my nonprofit outside of my own limited scope of healing. Outside of that, in a technical sense, there's also you don't have to start a nonprofit. There's advised donor funds where people come together to crowd giving, micro donations, things of that nature. Think about the things in your community that you want to change, problems that your community is facing. My hometown of Chicago, there's still not a grocery store there, it's a food desert. And so I want to go back and urge the people there, hey, let's start a community garden. I was in Brooklyn in the Bronx last week, and we have a community garden, and we're fighting to keep that space. And it's just a matter of having the resources and tools, asking questions, using ChatGPT. I talk to ChatGPT like it's my best friend. I'm asking all types of questions. But essentially, I think that's a well-rounded answer of how can we, what's the question I wish I answered for
What advice would you give to, how can we empower more Black individuals?
Oh, empower. Okay, yeah, definitely the mentorship. And he was already on that, so I'm gonna figure out who I can mentor afterwards. But yeah, this mentorship and awareness again. If we don't know what's out there, we can't change it. Think about all the websites you've ever been on the internet, and you meet somebody to go to brunch tomorrow, or go to breakfast, and someone's like, hey, have you heard about this? And it completely opens your mind. You're driving to work, listening to PR, and you hear about a social issue in Mexico or around the world that you've never heard of. We're limited, very, very much so. And I think just having collaborations with other people, having conversations, and just learning about the world around us and the things that we can change and work together with, especially in the age of isolation, is a very important thing to do.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that answer. I'm going to start to answer a final question for the panelists, so let's start with you. What advice would you give to individuals who are interested in becoming involved in philanthropy?
Well, definitely sign up for the ACLU. That's step one. I think New Mexico has the highest concentration of nonprofits, especially around the San Francisco area as well. I would again say just find people that are doing the work that you're doing, and don't think that you're so unique. You might have a unique idea, but always do your research to see who also is doing your work, who you can partner with. I think something that's very important and near to my heart is the industrial nonprofit complex. And when it comes to how nonprofits are siloed and they try to inhibit them from working together, because it's if this organization gets funding, it aligns with the political goals of the candidate that we're also donating money to. And so how I work around that is I will partner with multiple organizations to go for the same grant, and we'll come at 3 different angles or 3 different issues, and whoever gets that grant will partner with them still to continue to push that narrative. And how, you know what I mean? It's about being a puzzle piece with as many sides as you need to work with as many people as possible. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, I appreciate that, Robert. Let's go to Chantel, let's go out with that. Chantel, what advice would you give individuals who are interested in becoming involved in
The advice I would give to individuals is get connected to our mentors. We have, for example, myself, I'm a member of the organization. I have people that have been doing the work for many years that know how to access resources, access funds, connections, and what's important that we can keep this philanthropy to continue to raise your community and support.
Thank you. Same question, Mary. What advice would you give to individuals who are interested in becoming involved in philanthropy?
My advice would be to look for other avenues of capital. Look into investing into an impact investment where you partner with a non-profit that has the same social responsibility or mission as you do. And I think Robert said, is to have a mentor participate in events like this, because we know if you change, the image, we will control the mind. So just remember that.
Thank you. Then Eva. Same question.
They're like, don't give her the microphone again. She's gonna run up and down the whole building. I would absolutely say that just look around you and always be vocal about asking the question of getting involved. Certainly, I would give a huge shout out to the ACLU for making sure that these types of endowments exist. The Empower Fund, certainly, we are growing over the last year. Our kickoff event was bringing in Dr. Ogilvy for Juneteenth. It only starts there, but in that work, the reason that we are presenting these types of organizations and pillars to the community is to get people excited about wow, if I can see you do it at 97 and still walking and still pushing a barrier, then maybe I can too. So even if you just ask the question, hey, how can I get involved? What can I show up for to volunteer? Can I bring 100 young people out here to support this event today? There's so many different ways, and ask those questions. Certainly reach out to me in the city. I'm a huge resource in being able to connect with nonprofits within our community that are doing fabulous, amazing, awesome work. And come out on the 30th. See us on Civic Plaza, because lots of our partner organizations, and we'll be there celebrating Black business. So it'll be an opportunity.
Awesome, thank you. Finally, Masika, what advice would you give individuals who are interested in becoming involved in philanthropy?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're already feeling it, or if you're already even just curious, coming from a very personal experience, I leave it to the consequences right now. But once I moved to New Mexico, I always wanted a way to get involved. While I do have other things going on, it's just something that was constantly just on the back of my mind. Because I've lived in Texas. I do some work in Texas in that sense. So coming to New Mexico, networking, and then I met Mary, and from there, Mary, I believe, went to a different event, and ACLU came up from there, and I found it in my calendar one day, just showed up, and here we are, showing up to events since that time. So you might not really be sure of what it is, but just show up and just see where things go from there.
Thank you, Masika. I want to thank all of our panelists for their answers. And we have time for questions. I'm going to hand it back over to the ACLU. Great moderator. this panel. I learned a lot from all of these people who I just met. The only person I met is Nikki. But I hope you leave here with some good information. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, this